Hello, Western Civilization 107 class. Welcome to week 6. This is our last full module week, and I am opening it up early, mainly because I'm going to be on the train for 2 days this weekend. So um, uh, I'm going to do that. I'm also going to try to make up some extra time for Zoom hours for you all, because I missed. Um, the Zoom office hours this week. And I have the late work due date put out as the 8th. Please just know that this is mainly just due to I'm running out of time. So if you're having any issues with things or you need some help, then please contact me as soon as possible. Um, with that, basically, we're just running out of time. So I just wanted to kind of mention a few things of why I am having our semester end the way that it is, with the Israel-Palestine conflict being so much the focus. There's several things. First of all, the world has many different conflicts, and they're a big deal in their own way, especially if you're living there. Sudan is going through a severe crisis. Congo. I spent much time in Southeast Asia. I had an apartment for a few months in Siem Reap, Cambodia, and also, which is close to the border of Thailand. And I also stayed in Thailand with my cousin, and much further away from the border. But in any ways, I have spent a decent amount of time in Thailand and Cambodia. I've had apartments in both places and made friends on both sides. And there's a current, escalation and war and tension with Cambodia and Thailand. And I even have friends and family, my cousin, that are refugees right now, or they're being, at the moment, they've been displaced. My cousin's wife's family is one of them. So they're staying at the house until things cool down. So these are all real conflicts in the world that are far away from, like, I didn't even get to cover. And this is the challenge of a world civilization class, because it's like the world is important. I'm trying to cover world history, try to get everybody to understand different things. How do I cover Southeast Asia, Far East, Middle East, or as I call it, some call it the Near East, some they have a different term, but Africa, Latin America, oh my goodness, right? So it's not that I think that any given history is irrelevant. I can just only cover so much. Now, why am I covering the Israel-Palestine conflict so much? And there's going to be an understanding of a very strong bias on my part at this point that I am putting out there. So I just want to kind of talk about that for a second. So first of all, I think it's important as an American to focus on foreign policy or world history that the U.S. is being directly involved in. And there's no conflict that the United States is more involved in than with Israel and the Palestine, with Israel. And this is also not me making a critique of Jewish people. I want to keep in mind that my first mentor on this topic is a Jewish man with a PhD in history who spent a lot of time growing up in the South, fighting against racism there, and also during the time of segregation, and then also decades ago teaching me about the circumstances in which Palestinians live under, which he has been opposed to and critical of. So this is the background that I've had on this. Now, I've tried to be a lot more nuanced in the sense of kind of showing more both sides over time. And there's also a lot of other things that happen, like with Hezbollah and Iran recently, and Syria, that I would like to cover, but just so many layers to this. And by the way, Democrats and Republicans alike have made this a foreign policy priority. Israel is the number one military aid recipient. But again, sorry, I've been going all over the place because my brain like starts to go in circles. So one, I'm not making a criticism of Jewish people. I'm not even making a critique of Israelis per se, but I am making a critique of the state of Israel and the ideology of Zionism in context to the way its approach is to Palestinian Arabs. Okay, and focusing on this as the reason why we got to a situation here that is too extreme for me to be neutral on. We are seeing a genocide. Many Israeli human rights groups are calling it a genocide. Internationally, it's seen as a genocide. And it's certainly ethnic cleansing, and especially if you see what's going on in the West Bank. It's too extreme. Now, I feel as a professor that if I lived during World War II and I was seeing what was happening to the Jewish people and the Romani people and Jehovah's Witnesses and disabled people and other groups that were all being put in concentration camps and things that were happening there during World War II, from the Nazis to the Jewish people and all the other people. Would I be neutral about this? Would I say, and especially let's say that the U.S. government was contributing actually instead of being against, I feel like I would have to make a statement regarding unequivocally being in opposition to it. So, and partly the information that what I'm showing, which is very kind of drawing certain points of my critique about Zionism and Israel and the policies that are taking place historically that get us to where we're at, is because there's a lot of confusion about this history and people have very strong opinions about it, and it's becoming one of the front and center topics in the United States and the world, because many people don't understand why the United States is so passionately, unequivocally defending what Israel does to the Palestinians, and that there seems to be no compromise. The U.S. government has no nuance, far less nuance than anything that I'm promoting here, and the Israelis are having a very far-right government that is openly calling for no Palestinian state and for removing Palestinians from the land and creating a greater Israel. And so there's no nuance there either. But we have such a misinformation campaign that takes place in the United States that it's beyond ridiculous. And I wanted to shut that down. So feel free to look at these sources, and you can criticize anything. I'm more than willing to have a conversation with any of you about what you see that I put out in these videos. And remember that I'm not saying that each video and every source is 100% correct on anything. I'm giving you a general overview of certain things. And again, feel free to contact me. I'll make myself more than available, especially on this important topic. So it's not the only topic we cover this upcoming week, but it's the main one. And I hope you'll see why and understand why.